Hey guys, it's good to see you again. Today we're going to continue working on solving multi-step equations, only we're going to add one more thing to it. We're going to have variables on both sides. So most problems are just going to work out the same, and you're going to do this new thing about carrying the variable across the equal sign. But there's also going to be a few answers, solutions that are going to be weird and new and different from what you've seen before. And so let's get started. First off, I want to remind you that the rules are pretty much the same. If you see distribution, that you'll do that first. If there's like terms on the same side of the equal sign, we want to combine those first. We want to get rid of fractions. But we're going to have the new thing now, and that is that there's going to be a variable on both sides and a number on both sides. So if there's a variable on both sides, a good rule of thumb is to go ahead and combine them first. I do that to keep the variable positive. You don't have to do it that way, but it is just a good practice. So you'll see me working them out that way each time. Then we would combine the numbers and then we would solve as usual. And so let's get started. The first one, I have a 4K and I have a 2K. If I move the 4K across, I'll end up with a negative variable. So I'm going to move the 2K over to the left, and that'll keep the variable positive. So minus 2K, minus 2K. I've been having some problems today with my pen. So hopefully that won't happen during this recording though. So be patient if that happens. So now I'm going to move the 3 over. And I have 2K equals 8. Now I divide both sides by 2. I get K equals 4. And just remember that you can always take your solution, put it back into the equation, and make sure that it works out, that your solution is correct. The problem should work out. You should get the same thing on each side of the equal sign if your solution is correct. Next one, there's some distribution, so I'm going to do that first. So I'll drop down 8m plus 12. I'm going to distribute. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times a positive 2m is 8m. Now, if you notice, I had the same thing on both sides. And so you'll get to the point where you recognize that pretty quickly. But let me just show you what happens if you keep going with that. I'm going to move my variable. And it doesn't really matter which one I move, because either way it's going to cancel each other out. Now I have 12 equals 12. I can keep going with this if I want. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going. I'll subtract 12 from 12, and I end up with 0 equals 0. Now, whether my solution or the end of the problem is 0 equals 0 or 12 equals 12 or 1 equals 1 or 1,000 equals 1,000, if you end up with the same number on both sides of the equal sign, then the answer to this problem is all real numbers, which means whatever you put in there for m or the variable, it's going to work. So all numbers are solutions to this. Now, you don't have to write all real numbers every time. You can write the symbol for all real numbers, which looks like an 11, and then you put a capital R over it, and that is the symbol for all real numbers. So sometimes that's going to happen. Let's move on here. Next one. There's some distribution, so I'm going to do that first. 3 times 2 is 6. Well, let me go ahead and bring this down. Negative 9y minus 3 equals, then 3 times a negative 3 is a negative. Why is it doing that? Okay, so I'm having some problems again, and I'm not quite sure why. Negative. Sorry about that for some strange reason. Negative, here we go, negative 9y. For some reason, my pen's being weird today. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's running out of batteries. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move the variables first. Again, if you note, it doesn't really matter which way I go, because whether I move either y, it's going to cancel them out, and I'm only left with numbers again. The differences with these numbers is that they're different. And -3 will never equal 6. So the answer to this is no solution. And I'm going to tell you that it is super important that you write no solution. You can't say that there's 0 solutions because 0 is a value. So again, you're going to have to write out no solution every time you get different number on each side of the equal sign. All right, now I'm going to go, we have a triangle. And so we're going to work through this word problem because, like I said, everything comes back to geometry. So watch how I process this through. And I want you to know, draw pictures. You know, when I took a trigonometry class back in college, I remember crying to my father because I couldn't understand the trigonometry. And so my dad, who's brilliant and does well with math, he said, just draw pictures. And that I survived that class. And so if you're struggling with understanding something in math and you have an opportunity to draw a picture of it, draw a picture. So first off, I want you to notice that this is a triangle. Sometimes it's going to say a square. Sometimes it's going to say a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a triangle. And it says that perimeter is 48. So I'm going to write that. Perimeter is 48. Okay? I'm writing as I'm reading. And then it says that side B is 9 inches larger than side A. Now, I could use variables. I'm going to go ahead and use A. So let's just say that this is A. That's side A. And then B is 9 inches. I wish it said longer. So if I take side A and I add 9 to it, then that's B. All right, then the next one, it says that the base is 7 inches more than twice A. So here's twice A, and then here's 7 inches more. So here's all the sides. So if you look at it that way, I promise you it's going to be easier. So perimeter is when you add up all the sides. So let's see. There's the first side. There's the second side. And here's the third side. And I'm going to add them up. And then, of course, that would give me the perimeter. So now I have my problem. It's all set up. So let's go ahead and solve it now. I've got a lot of variables on one side of the equal sign. So let's combine those first. 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 A's. And then I have 16. Now it's a two-step equation. So let me go ahead and quickly solve that. 4A gets brought down. Divide both sides by 4. A equals 8. Now, if I stop right there, the problem's going to be wrong because we have to look at the question because the question doesn't want to know what A is. It wants to know the dimensions of the triangle. There's 3 dimensions. So you have A, then you have B. B was A plus 9. So B is 17. Then the base, which is the third dimension, is 2 times A plus 7. So that's going to be 2 times 8 plus 7. So let's say 16, 23. Whoops. Okay. So now we have, it tells me that the whole thing is 48. So let's just double check our work. 23, 17, 8, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yes. Check, check. Got it right. So you can see that we have 1 answer, we have 2 answers, and we have 3 answers. So 3 dimensions. So make sure you pay attention to that. That's what it's asking you for. And then this last part, again, we have to have some fractions in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these fractions. But actually, when I look at these fractions, I notice that they have the same common denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and move it. So I've got plus 2/3 v plus 2/3 v. Now, I could have gotten rid of the fractions first. I could have multiplied all terms by 3. It's another way to go with it. So fine, I'm going to do that in my second step instead. So this cancels. I have 4/3 v minus 6 equals -6. All right. I am going to go ahead and move the 6. I could clear the fraction right now first, so just letting you know I could do that. It doesn't matter what order in this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and add 6 to both sides. 4/3 v equals 0. Okay, now to clear this fraction, I'm going to do the reciprocal. And you might already see what's going to happen here. These are going to cancel, and 0 times anything is 0. 0 is a value. 0 is the answer to this equation. It's not the same as no solution. This situation, the solution is 0. Now, I try to do some practice problems that would pretty much address everything you're going to run into in the assignment tonight. Please, please, please make sure that you get these down in your spiral. Look back over the video as many times as you need to do. And good luck. I know you're going to be awesome. Bye-bye.